Greetings, fellow Watford fans. Omar here with a Orns 10-minute take on Cardiff 1, Watford 2. That's right, the Golden Boys get their third consecutive victory in the Championship and their second in a row away from home. That's right, Watford, their second win in a row away from home. Watford tonight did not start the way the scoreline would suggest because in the ninth minute, Cardiff scored a goal through a defensive mistake. Kipre benefiting with a header, I think it was, into the back of the net. A Watford defensive lapse led to that Cardiff goal, and really Cardiff got the goal, but for me it was a little bit too early in this game for any Watford fan to feel as if the night was not going to belong to them because Watford hadn't yet hit their stride in this game. And so you knew that Watford were going to start to play a lot better than they had those first 10 minutes. And the problem for Watford is the first 10 minutes of a lot of these games, particularly away from home. They have not yet found a way to avoid trouble in the first few minutes of a number of these away games this season, which really, I think, has cost them, um, you know, getting even closer to the top of the table than they are presently. And that same bugaboo hurt them in this match tonight. But nonetheless, Watford would end up evening things out in this game. Later on in this first half, they began to get into the game, decided to get themselves going, and they started to impose their will on the game. And from the 17th minute on, really began to start dominating the proceedings. And they continued to escalate that control of the game and then got their reward in the 39th minute. It was that man indeed. I think it was the 38th minute, whichever minute it was, 38th or 39th. It was Francisco Sierralta scoring his first goal of the season for Watford. He got the goal and he was the man of the match. I thought he was terrific in defense as well. Sierralta putting his head where boots feared to tread and did an excellent job marshalling the defense alongside William Troost-Ekong. I thought Sierralta played his best game of the season so far, and Watford benefited from that particularly. They could have prospered with a few more goals in the first half, but they were not able to get them. And you only hoped as a Watford fan that you'd be able to see Watford continue on as they had left off in that first half, so emphatically controlling and dominating the proceedings. But as we've seen a lot away from home this season, Watford did not start the way they ended the previous half. They started the second half the way they started the first half, which was a little bit sloppy, a little bit helter-skelter. And it was Cardiff that took the initiative and tried to make things happen. But it was very good, timely defensive plays and some good Daniel Batman saves, very good Daniel Batman saves, as a matter of fact, that kept Cardiff off the scoreboard in the second half, especially during those first 5 or so minutes of the second half. But it was Watford who then again, like they did in the first half, grew into the game and started to take control of the game. The possession was very good for Watford. They got themselves a foothold into the second half. The midfield controlled the game, I thought, a very important control of the game. Kayembe was the main contributor there, and he had Dan Gosling with him as well, who also did his best to break up a lot of the play that Cardiff were bringing forward. And I thought that Watford really set their marker in the second half. Ball movement was very strong once again. The passing was very crisp. We've seen a number of games this season where Watford's passing has not been very good. The pass did not reach the Watford man it was intended to. We've seen that many times, but the last couple of games and the last 3 games overall, if you're including the Luton match, you see how the ball movement is better and crisper and sharper. The passes are quicker and sharper. The balls are reaching the Watford men as intended through the passing. And you're beginning to see a team now play with confidence and they create goal scoring opportunities. One thing that you've seen on the Slaven Village, the team is not afraid, especially the last few games, to try to create goal scoring opportunities. And you know very well that if you continue to create goal scoring opportunities at one point or another, you are going to start cashing in on those opportunities. And that happened in the second half for Watford. And they were the ones that would end up with the win based upon the goal scoring opportunities they created. Ismail Assar from a set piece. In fact, both Watford's goals were off set pieces. A header from Sierralta off a corner. That was Ken Senna, I believe, who provided the assist there, his 5th of the season. And then another corner was taken. I don't forget who took that, whether it was Summer or someone else. But the bottom line is the ball was whipped in, and it was a header from Ismail Assar. It looked like it may have glanced off his shoulder, or whatever happened. It went into the back of the net, and Ismail Assar scored his 6th goal of the season, and Watford would get all 3 points. Now, they had to hold on later on in the half because Cardiff did start to come into the game a lot more the last 15 minutes. They had 3 substitutions that worked to a charm, giving Cardiff a lot more energy and bite and spark. They came close a couple of times. Some very good clearances and blocks from Mario Gaspar and the rest of the Watford defense. Otherwise, it could have been a very different story on the night. And thankfully, Watford were able to get over the line. It was a team effort in the end, despite the fact it was clearly Sierralta's man of the match night. There were some very good performances all across the pitch. Mario Gaspar, I thought, was excellent, as was Ken Sema. A big-time performance from him. Ismail Assar was very lively. João Pedro in the second half was particularly good. You saw Dan Gosling do the work he did, and also Kayembe, I thought, was a big impact as well in that midfield, as well as Gosling was. And you, of course, had Hassan Kamara doing the usual things that he does so well. And, of course, in that front line area particularly, I think that Sema had a particularly good game. Fakun Bayo led the line at the top as a sole striker, and he ran his socks off. Again, even though he hasn't scored in the last few games, Bayo has proven to be a very durable player. I know he was injured 1 or 2 occasions, but he has proven to be a very important player. He does a lot of the dirty work that a lot of people don't see or appreciate, and he is full of running. He creates opportunities and space for his teammates, and he certainly is someone who can find the back of the net. I think you're going to see Fakun Bayo again start to score some goals. I expect that he will actually score, I think, on Saturday against Coventry. But that remains to be seen, of course, but that's my prediction, and we will find out if that comes true. But Watford did themselves the world of good here now. That's 3 consecutive wins. They've conceded just once in these 3 games, and they look like they have found themselves at last, having played 18 games. And Watford now are looking to extend their streak, but right now, 3 in a row looks really good, and you've got confidence, and you've got a lot of character, because that's what Watford got today from this win. A lot of character, falling behind as they do on the road a number of times this season, as they've done. And then in this instance, coming from behind to win the game. That is something that you don't see on the road from Watford very often anymore. And of course, the only other time Watford have come from behind to win a game this season was the game against Middlesbrough at Vicarage Road on August the 30th. That would be, of course, the Vic 100 game that took place earlier in the season. That seems like many moons ago now. But Watford are beginning to establish an identity and a purpose, and they look really good at the moment going forward. Once again, the final score was Cardiff 1, Watford 2. Watford now in 6th place in the championship, in the playoff spots with 29 points. They are literally 4 points off of the second automatic promotion spot, and they are behind Burnley, who are on 38 points. So they're 9 points behind Burnley, who got a very late win after 10 minutes of injury time, scoring the winning goal against Rotherham there. But Watford now have built a platform, and they must continue to build it some more in this particular season as we get toward the World Cup break. This has been the Orns 10-minute take.